Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Fanatics Tuesday Q&A. We are live ahead of round 13. For those people listening back on the pod, it is Tuesday night, the 4th of June. I'm your host, Bales, and you can find me at BalesDT across the socials. But joining me, we've got the new sort of three gang of the AFL Fantasy Fanatics. I'll introduce
You didn't know how to refer to us then, did you, mate?
I didn't know.
Let's call it
the three amigos.
Three-headed beast. Three-headed beast.
Three-headed beast, three amigos. Yep, something like that. I was going to go another different way, but I've already been ridiculed for a few things I've said, so I thought let's not go down that path. But anyway, Joy B, from the very beginning, it is my co-host and fellow fantasy fanatic. It is Tim Guest. Tim, mate, we didn't hear from you, unfortunately, on the Sunday night with as you had the kids and whatever. But do you want to give us a bit of a rundown of how you went in round 12?
Mate. Well, thanks for preparing me so that I could have it all in front of me, ready to go, so that I wouldn't have to talk for a little bit to stall and pad for space while I waited for my browser to load, But yeah, last week I had an 1858. So look, not. I was hoping to do better. I thought I would have done better on this first of the bye rounds. But look, I climbed. I didn't climb much. I think I climbed like 500 spots or something along those lines. Once again, it was just one of those rounds where, I don't know, I didn't actually think I did that badly, but it was more that, I just kind of missed a lot of those ceiling scores that I guess some players had. And then, I did have a couple of dud scores, but more so where I'm at is I'm upset now. I'm upset at the fantasy gods now. Like before, it was just bad luck and it just wasn't going my way. But the Matt Crouch out for the season, I felt like I hadn't had a great start to the year, but look, I'd set myself up well for the buys. I had a lot of cash on the bench. I had a very healthy bench. All right, man, I can just now use my 3 trades. I can recycle players. I can get that cash off my bench, get it onto my field. Just having I guess I'm lucky that he scored obviously well, but now having to trade him out just really kind of upsets that trade sequence. And, and it's in my head a little bit, to be perfectly honest. So I kind of, I'm with the long weekend over here in Perth, which also contributed why I wasn't here on Sunday as well. I kind of needed to take a day or two and just not really think about fantasy too much. And then I kind of got back into it today and started doing a bit more research. And I'm wondering whether Colby McKercher might come back this week. If he does, there might be something special that I can pull. But
I'll prick that bubble straight away.
God, fuck!
But I will make a comment. If it's any consolation, Tim, that first of all, it was a great pick, Crouch, and he's made money. He's now at over 900K. But I do think, in a fantasy sense, it's a little bit of not a blessing in disguise. I just don't see how you would have traded him out from here till the end. And I don't think he's one of the ones you'd want at the very end, unless he was M7, M8. I don't think Adelaide's trajectory was going to continue in that way. I'm not saying he would have been sent to the 2s or anything, but what is happening at Adelaide is not working. And I just don't think Crouch would have continued at that rate. So look at the positives, my man, but don't look at McKercher.
I am, one of the things I kind of talked about with Bales the other day, just very briefly, and actually I'll, bounce it off you. Maybe, I don't know if we want to talk about it now, Jordox, but I'm actually looking at Grundy's run, and I'm pretty happy with Grundy's run, and I've still got Sweet sitting there. So, I'm trying to make some other moves, like a couple of points of difference. I don't think he's an end of the season play, but I certainly think I can get. I think he's got. If I look on DFS Australia, he's got a good run for about 7 or 8 rounds. So I don't expect to get that much out of him, but look, he might be a bit of a.
And would it really be the end of the world if you finish the season with him at R2?
No, look, and if you take it, really, he's only had a couple of stinky scores, and if you take them out, he's actually scored pretty bloody well. So,
I'll tell you who else. Has had some stinky scores along the way. Marshall, English.
Yeah.
So Yeah, maybe just the ceiling of those boys is a bit higher.
Yeah. Before we do get into sort of topics, I will introduce Jordox because we sort of went on a tangent. So I thought I'd
Jesus,
sort of
sorry,
introduce and
Bales.
say that no, it's all good. It's all good. I just I've got to keep you two in line. No, it's all right. But no, introducing obviously newest member of the AFL Fantasy Fanatics, as you guys would have heard on Tuesday. That's why we're doing a show with just us three tonight. We thought we'd just keep it sort of in-house tonight. Jordox, mate, how are you?
Very good, very good. Knackered. It was a very, very big day in my house. But yeah, excited to be distracted by fantasy and chat with you boys.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And then Tim, just quickly as well, your plus and minus 3, if you just want to sort of give us a quick one.
Oh, once again, Bales, thanks for the preparation, mate. So I probably would have to look. Look, Crouchy would probably go close, or a Sam Walsh, 133 from Sam Walsh, who is my highest scorer for the week. And then duds. Let's have a look at a dud. I mean, it's got to be Zach Butters, a 74 from a primo. I mean, obviously he's had a bit of a rough run the last couple of weeks without his mate there. He's been getting a bit of attention, but it would have been nice to get a better score out of him. But yeah, I don't know. Well, I'm going to use tonight to kind of figure out my strategy, but I'm going to try and do a bit of a double upgrade this week. Well, I mean, one is going to be a bit sideways, but yeah, see what kind of moves I can make and, bring in 2 primos, 1 downgrade and, just keep moving.
Beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful. All righty. So we'll just, I'll quickly, we'll sort of go through some of the targets because obviously we've got the 4 teams coming off of the bye in round 12. And for people that are new to the sort of the buys and sort of the strategy and stuff that coaches look to deploy is that you try and trade out players that are either on the bye or have an upcoming bye. Preferably rookies and mid prices, unless you've got a forced trade like a Preen that's out, and you're looking to bring in these round 12 guys. So obviously we've got Brisbane, GWS, North Melbourne, and Sydney all coming off of the bye. So I'll just rattle off a few names for you boys, and then we'll sort of get into who sort of we like out of these teams. So we'll go team by team. So we'll go Brisbane first, and I think the main probably sort of really target that we're looking at is Dane Zorko. He's probably the more popular one, but also you've got a Josh Dunkley who is there at the Lions. But you've also got a few people, bit cash strapped, might be looking at a Lockie Neal, probably a little bit risky at this point, but could be someone that we consider. Are either you boys, and I'll go obviously Jordox first, are you looking at any of those 3 guys bringing in this week, or do you currently, would you recommend them for anyone if you've already got some of these guys?
Yeah, I'm lucky that I've got Dunkley and Zorko already, but they're the obvious sort of guys coming off the bye. It's going to be interesting with people chasing Zorko because his last score was an 80, and that was a pretty good score, to be fair. He was tracking for a miserable score that day. But my point is I'm sure his break-even shot up, and he's probably going to come down now. So yeah, it is the time. He's off the bye, and he's got a good matchup, I think, this weekend. But there will be some who are tempted to wait and maybe get him a bit cheaper.
Yeah. Tim, would you be not breaking your team, I guess, but would you maybe be sort of, I'm trying to sort of figure out, so because people could probably go get, say, Tom Green and a Zach Fisher this week without many dramas at all. You probably go Sharp to Green, cost you not even, I think, just over 20K or not even, and then you can go like a Bonnet or Fisher sideways and do a rookie swap. Would you be sort of doing 2 downgrades, getting Zorko and sort of making sure you get him, or do you think it's still you're playing a bit of value, getting a Tom Green, and we'll talk about Tom Green shortly, and getting a few of these cheaper guys, or do you think Zorko's that guy you'd be sort of trying to get now while you got 3 trades?
So I think you got to prioritise the value, right? So you got to prioritise someone particularly like Fisher, especially in that forward line. I think that I would probably put a Tom Green before a Zorko, but I could be swayed by a good argument why not to go a Tom Green, particularly the way that he's been performing. But I do think we start to see him bounce back. But at the same time, look, we are now in the buys, and this is the time where you do bring in, these top players. So, if you have got a Tom Green and a Zach Fisher like I do, so I think a Zorko is definitely a play. But once again, I'm still looking at players like a Dunkley and a Goulden. I'm a bit split between those two. Like Goulden is obviously the cheaper player and obviously a bit more value, but I think Dunkley's role's a little bit more secure, and it might be worth paying the extra, whatever it is, 40K or something like that to bring in Dunks. So yeah, look, I mean, I probably would be leaning towards value, but you know, we're going to have to get Zorks, and he's up against the Dogs. You know, and I mean, how Dogs? I mean, they're you know, a very juicy matchup for defenders. You know, +6 on designated kickers averages. So yeah, I think he's definitely an option for this week. But you know, there could be some others that you could prioritise over him. That's what I think. What do you think, Bales?
I think what Bale said is a good point with Zork. Like, to bring in $1 million guy, it probably would be on a week where you get 3 trades. It's gonna be hard to sort of finance that in any other week. So I think that's a really good point.
Yeah, because like for my own team in trades and stuff, I'm looking at it and I go, well, I could bring Zorko in, but that means I would have, I guess, one less player this week. I think I'd have Wright on the 22, and if a McAuliffe, we did hear today that Bolton, Taranto, and Prestia are all available, so they might all come back, which means McAuliffe might get dropped. We don't know. I thought he played well enough in 3 quarters that he should stay in, but
I'd be staggered if they dropped him.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a silly move.
Yeah, and then Jai Clark, who we don't know if he's going to come back in, so that means I might have 21. And it's like, well, do I get Tom Green to have the 23rd player or 24, or do I go and get a Zorko and have 22 or 21 and have one less? It probably comes down to that. So it's something I've got to weigh out with my own team. But yeah,
I would think about it. What about thinking about it more from this perspective, Bales? Like, rather than thinking about how many you got playing this week, because look, most people have got pretty much a full side playing this week, just because it's that bye round with only 2 teams on the bye. I would think about it more about how does it impact where your team's going to end up by the end of the buys. Like, I'm wondering whether it might be better to shop more for value now, with the hope that, you know, I mean, because typically in these buy rounds, what you do is 2 downgrades and 1 upgrade. Like, you can 2 down, 1 big upgrade. But if you do it right, one of those 4 weeks, you might actually be able to turn into a 1 down, 2 up.
Yeah, well, that's essentially what I can. That's essentially what I can do this week. I can go a Bonner or a Sharp if I want to go Sharp instead of Bonner, and go to a Fisher. The other trade, go and get again potentially a Sharp or a Harley Reid up to a Tom Green, and then do one a rookie down compared to like
I'd be doing Harley.
Yeah, or you go Harley Reid down.
I mean, it's 2 premiums. I mean, it's effectively, you know, I mean, it's Fisher and who's the other guy you were saying? Green versus who do you think is going to score more points? I mean, obviously the 2 primos.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I could still get Fisher and Zorko in. It just means that technically Fraser would be my F6 instead of a Dempsey or a Wilson or whatever. So
who have you got? Who have you got Thursday night?
Oh, okay, all right.
McAuliffe. You don't have McAuliffe. Yeah, because it could depend if you get a bumper score out of both of them, that might help decide how many you want to be fielding this week. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Yep. Perfect. Well, we'll move on to GWS, who are also a team coming off of their bye. So we've got Lockie Whitfield. I'm a bit sort of scared off with the fact that he's got Hawks is okay this week. Then he's got goes into Port Adelaide, then the James Jordan tagging around 15. We obviously have a Tom Green, who is a prime target, I think, for people to be bringing in this week. And they're probably really only ones in terms of, if we're looking at sort of the cheaper players down there, you've got Aaliyah. He's 338 if people want to pay up a little bit for him. And then you've also got a Toby McMullen, who I'm quite keen on. I think he could come into the side, and hopefully he's not the sub because he's got the -6 break even. So, Tim, are you keen on any of those guys from the Giants, or if you had them, would you be recommending them to other people?
Look, obviously Tom Green, Lockie Whitfield. No, I don't like his run, and you know, there's been a bit of attention that he's been getting. There's probably a bit of concern whether, you know, other teams might replicate that. Aaliyah, I think he's just a bit pricey, although I am shopping for defenders, but I was hoping to find someone a little bit like a rookie defender that was a little bit cheaper. And then, I mean, Toby McMullen, I'm a bit split about. Like, he's probably going to be the number 1 rookie trading target this week, but he's probably going to get a sub, right? Or he's, very likely to be a sub. So
he plays the first game on the Saturday, so we'll be able to know. I don't think too many of our players will actually play before then. So there is a rookie for North Melbourne, a couple of rookies from North Melbourne potentially that we'll mention in a sec that you might be able to pivot to if that was the case.
Yeah. So that's what I think about the GWS players.
Let's talk about Tom Green. I find him so fascinating. I'm an owner, have been from the start, and it's hard because you want to try and put the lens of someone who's shopping, and the price is great, but I just look at the scores, and I guess the only way you'd be doing it is like you were saying before, you might be able to get 2 primos this week because you go on the value option, but you'd also have to really subscribe to the theory that the ankle injury lingered, affected him. He's now had the bye. He's cherry ripe. That's got to be your thinking, because I look at his scores. So since he hurt his ankle, in the 3 games after that, he's taken 3 marks. It's just not enough. He doesn't get enough kicks to build a score. He's such a heavy handballer that he's around the ball. He gets a lot of touches. But without those marks, those outlet marks, you're just seeing 80s and 90s. So you'd have to be very sure in your mind that he's going to do that. But then again, if he doesn't, oh, well, you only paid $760. I got Clary Oliver like 4 or 5 weeks early, and he hasn't hurt me, he hasn't burnt me, and I've got what I paid
but he
for.
hasn't.
But I don't want him anymore. Anyway, Green's different. I do think because Oliver didn't have the preseason, Green, it appears to be the ankle. But I don't know, maybe losing Josh Kelly and maybe some of the support around him. I'm not sure what's happened to him. But even in the weeks before his ankle, since their round 3 bye, again, just an 88 and a 72.
Well, as a non-owner of Tom Green, obviously you boys are both owners of it. As a non-owner, I look at every one of his scores that he went under 100, and I can see a reason for there being why he went under 100. So you look at the first 2 before, sort of in round 4 and 5 against Gold Coast and St Kilda. Gold Coast in round 4 was up at Adelaide Hills. It was quite a low-scoring fantasy game, so that's why he didn't really get many points. Round 5 against the Saints, that was dominated by all outside players. So like Brad Hill went 150. I think like guys like Bonner and like even Dusty Wilson had a solid score. All those guys had big games. Then you look at the round 9, 10, 11, where he went under 100. I look at round 9, when he got 98 against the Bombers. He was the top scoring midfielder on the ground. That was another low scoring fantasy game, and he went to 98 in that one. The Dogs was obviously reigning for a lot of that game. And Giants, I think lost that game from memory. They didn't play very well. And then Geelong got 91, but he actually got the tag from Blitzarves. That's the reason he didn't get too many marks. I just sort of see him as that guy that he had a few poor scores earlier, but if the price is right, you jump on him and sort of you almost don't think twice about it, really. I think he's a guy that I'd be happy to jump on and bring into my side. That's obviously as a non-owner. So maybe owners feel different.
If I was a non-owner, I'd be sold. That's all I need to hear. Some reasons for the scoring. And I think it's probably all I'd need to hear.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a good option. Perfect. We'll move on to North Melbourne. And I was obviously mentioning before a couple of rookies from here, but there's a few good options at the top end. So you got obviously Harry Sheasel for a few of those coaches like myself that jumped off of him a few weeks ago, might look, or haven't even had him all year, might look to jump on him now with a few good matchups to come. You got Tristan Sherry. If you've got, say, a suite at something at R2 and you want to go back to bring in a ruck, you could look at someone like Tristan Sherry. You got LDU at 836, has put up 3 decent tons in a row now and looking a bit better than he did at the start of the year. Obviously, Zach Fisher, prime target for a lot of us that don't have him. And a few people did jump on pre-buy, but he's got a few good matchups. And with McKercher, not like that. Well, I think he's pretty much almost confirmed not to be playing this week. But if he doesn't, obviously more ball for him back there. Like he's been dominating. I don't think you could really jump on a Tom Powell at this moment in time. And then a couple of rookies down here. So you've got if he does make his debut this week, is a Geordie Payne, who was the number 1 pick in the mid-season draft. Might get a go potentially this week or in a couple of weeks' time. And then you've got a Will Dawson, who at 249K defender forward, played a couple of games before the bye. Not huge scores, but he did play, and he might be in the team for a few weeks. So, Jordox, any players from there that you are keen on?
Yeah, Fisher's the obvious one, and he's been well spoken about. McKercher definitely won't be playing this week, probably or next week. We'll get a clearer timeline on that after this week. I did a bit of digging today because I wanted to know. I tell you what, LDU's taken me by surprise. I didn't realise he'd put together 3 good weeks like that. I like his price a lot. Yeah, but geez, he'd be brave. He's burnt people in the past.
Well, here's a question for you, Jordox. LDU or Lockie Neal? About the same price?
LDU. Just because, look, I jumped on Neal, I think, around this time last year, and it was a pretty fun little period till the end. I just think the age, I think Brisbane are moving away from Neal being the dominant guy, whereas LDU's 24 now. I think all the North fans have been waiting. He may be about to catch fire. That would be fun to ride, actually.
Yeah, and if Shees was playing midfield, teams are almost going to be looking at Shees as the guy to tag. So LDU might actually be a guy that doesn't get the attention and gets off the chain. So that's something to look at.
Just before we jumped on, I was looking at Crisp, but I realised I've already got 6 defenders. So I need midfielders. So same price, you could get LDU. I don't mind it.
Yeah. Tim, anyone from North that catches your fancy? You would obviously talking about your rucks with Grundy. Tristan Cherry potentially could tickle your fancy.
Yeah, I prefer Grundy's run, actually. So I'd probably lean that way. Yeah, no one else that really stands out for me. I do like the LDU pick, and I am curious to see, I'm wondered whether, that's why LDU has been playing better, is because Sheezel's been getting more midfield time. And maybe, it's I just wonder whether it also just helps LDU having, a bit more talent in there as well. So, but the thing that we've always liked it, well, LDU as a pick, but we've always been concerned that, he's just the number one dog there and he's always going to get the attention. So, yeah, look, I do like the LDU pick, especially if you're a bit budget strapped as well.
Yeah.
Got the Eagles and the Pies. A couple of good matchups there. Sorry, mate.
I think Tristan Cherry's matchups are actually pretty good as well over the next few weeks. He's got West Coast. I know a few people said they're not as easy, but I still look at the West Coast matchup and still think I know
we've got Matt Flynn now, so it's not Bailey Williams anymore, right? So it's Matt Flynn now. So that's I
look at it and I go, well, Marshall would have gone big last week if it wasn't for all those bloody free kicks he gave away. He gave away like 6 or whatever. It's a bit of a theme of what Marshall's doing lately.
I was procrastinating yesterday and I actually did a deep dive on Flynn because on Sunday night I did mention that I feel like Flynn historically has been tough to match up on. So, if I can remember what the numbers were, he's played around, I want to say 20 odd career games as a solo ruck, and the average against him from the opposition ruck, and where there's 2 rucks, I've just gone with the higher average, was like 91. It wasn't what I thought it would be. And that was inflated by his last year at West Coast, where he copped some floggings from English and Gorn, and then West Coast gave him the arse. Anyway, just for anyone wondering.
Gold Coast. GWS, man.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Then he's got Cherry's then got Collingwood, who Cameron I think is historically easier without Mason Cox there, and obviously Max Gawn goes into that game there. I just think Cherry's floor's a bit safer than Grundy just with those tackle numbers, but I do like both options if you're considering them. And we will move to Sydney now. So 2 massive targets if you don't have them in Errol Goulden and Isaac Heaney should be at the top of a lot of people's shopping list this week. Chad Warner, a bit of a sneaky one as well that a few people are getting a bit keen on with last 2 scores of 117 and 115 and hasn't actually gone below 85 all year actually, and he hasn't gone below 90 in his last 2, 4, 6, 7 games. So he's been pretty solid. Price is a little bit up there. You obviously got Brady Grundy, who we were mentioning before. And then you're not looking at like an Adams or anything like that there. And I'm just scrolling down to see if there is any sort of rookie action, which I don't believe that there is, and there is not. So, are you got Tim? Are you looking at any of those guys? Obviously, you alluded to a bit of Goulden before, but any of the other guys you'd recommend people looking at?
No, not really. I don't think so. No, not off the top of my head. I think it would just be those two.
Probably just a comment on the Chad Warner. And I don't know what his Supercoach scores are, but this guy, to me, screams Supercoacher. So his last 2 games before the bye were, phenomenal to watch. I mean, that game against the Dogs as well. He scored a 117 and a 115, which is obviously terrific. But across those 2 games, he's kicked 7 goals, which is extraordinary for a midfielder. So 3 against the Blues, 4 against the Dogs. He kicks goals most games he plays. In fact, he's kicked 1 in every game bar 1. But I guess my point is, if you're a primo mid and you're going to pay just under 900K, and that midfielder kicks 4 goals, you're going to want to see a 150. So I just wonder if without the goals, where his ceiling's at. And brilliant player to watch, though.
Maybe teams as well look at it and go, let's start tagging Warner now, because Heaney, you're not really going to tag Heaney. It's so hard to shut him down because he can just go forward and kick a number of goals. Whereas Warner, I feel like, is that guy that predominantly an outside player. You'd probably look to maybe shut a guy like him down, or even a Goulden over a Heaney, which I hope they don't. I think this is good for Goulden, though. Warner going so well and Heaney playing well. I don't think teams are really looking at Goulden, even though they probably should be, because he's such a good player. But I think Goulden is a prime target. He hasn't had any scores over 130 this year, but I think it's just a matter of time. As an owner, I've seen there's been big, like the game before the bye against the Dogs, that looked like it was going to be a 140, but he had a bad last quarter. Only had the 10 points, and up on like a 119 or something, which is still a great score, but just not that 130 yet. So I think it's just a matter of time before he goes big. So I really
he has had in his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's say 2, 4, 6, 7. 6 of his last 7 games, he has registered 20 plus kicks in the game.
That's what you want.
Oh, that's huge. 20 kicks a game. How's my math? 60 points. Pretty good.
Yep, Master's a tick on that one. So, perfect. But yeah, and then probably the only other bit of news, and then we'll get into some questions, is that finally, as a Crows fan, I've been calling out for this for 18, I reckon a good 18 months. I've been saying this guy should be getting a debut. Billy Dowling finally getting a debut, 200K mid forward. And the perfect thing is we'll know if he's the sub on because they play Thursday night. So again, I'm probably of the opinion that I'd be waiting on a rookie. But if a McMullen isn't named or named as a sub, and we'll probably won't know if he's a sub unless they say beforehand. And if Will Dawson's not named and you want to get that money, I'm not afraid to jump onto Billy Dowling. I think he could stay in the team for a little bit if he's not the sub. Obviously, if he's a sub, we're waiting on him. So, I think, boys, you probably agree with that. We're just waiting to see if he's sub or not. Is anyone launching into him this week if he's not the sub?
At this point, if he's not the sub, yeah, definitely. I reckon he's going to be a slam dunk pick, this kid. He's got fantasy written all over him. But he's not...
Sorry, I'm getting a bit of bad internet. Were we talking Ari Showmakers? Is that who you're talking about?
No, Billy Dowling. Christ.
Billy Dowden. Oh, okay.
Dowling.
Yeah.
So he was picked, 43 in the 22 draft and had some big numbers as a junior. And, this season has been, racking it up in the sandful as a 19-year-old up against men. Yeah, the Crows cop a lot for not playing guys earlier, and that's only because we're not winning, right? Like if we were winning every week, no one would give 2 shits about who's debuting. But I like that they've held him back, and he'll be absolutely raring to go. He'll be ready to run a brick wall, but he's not the guy I'm most interested about on Thursday night. I reckon you can guess who's on my mind, Bales.
Yeah. We'll speak about him in a sec. We'll speak about him in 2 seconds. I know you've been wanting since Saturday. You're just like, I'm looking, and Sunday, you're like, I'm looking forward to talking about him. So we'll talk about him in 2 seconds. But
All right.
I could see we were boring Tim with our Crows chat because he thought we were talking about Only Makers. So. So beautiful. All righty. Well, perfect. All right. Well, we will move into some listener questions now as well. So if you are tuning in live on YouTube or Twitter, put in your questions in the live chat and we'll get to as many as we can. We'll answer a heap of them now. But the first question will come from Bales, myself. I'll be obviously trying to, it's a bit of a segue into Jordox's player. So what are your thoughts on Sam Berry as an option?
Oh, look, I put a tweet out yesterday when the unfortunate Crouch news broke. So he's 430K. He has been the sub, I think, in every game bar one this year. And every time he comes on, he scored. So if you look at the last 2 weeks, he's fortunately come on at halftime. The first week was the big win over West Coast, came on at halftime and then scored 67 points in the second half. So that's fair enough. The Crows beat up on them that day. On the weekend just gone, the Crows were pitiful. He came on at halftime for Tex, who hurt his back, and he scored 44 in a half. And that was with, from memory, 3 frees against, which irked Bales on the day. So I guess my point is, look, it's not the time of year really to be jumping on a mid at 400K mid price. It's just a bit risky in the buys. But all I'll say is keep your eye on him Thursday night. If he's not the sub, and he bloody well better not be, his points per minute are 0.91, and only 3 Crows are better than that this year, and that's Dawson, Crouch, and Lairdy. Now, the last couple of years have been tough for Berry. He's been in and out of the side. He's had injuries. And he's a bit similar to Matt Crouch. I think that's the problem. But the last time he got a consecutive run in the side, he averaged 84 and he led the competition for tackles. So there's my speech on Berry. I'm not suggesting jump into him, but at 430K, if he gets the role, jump into it.
He could be an option for me to do something like a downgrade from a like a Sharp.
Mm-hmm. Just 300K straight off the bat there.
Still puts a player on field, and then that gives me a little bit of cash to go someone like a Matt Crouch to a Goulden, and probably put money on top of Bonner or someone like that as well to get him up.
Mm-hmm.
That could be. Yeah, it's not a bad shout. I don't mind it.
Yeah.
No, what do you reckon, Dallas?
I don't mind it. You know my thoughts on Berry about in terms of the Crows, but we'll see how he goes in 4 quarters, as you've said to me. So I don't mind it. 430K. Even if you had like a few people to close you on a bench, you could look at doing something like that as a like him as your M9. If you want to pay up a little bit there, if you're sitting in a good position, that could be something you look at doing over the buys next few weeks. Probably just team dependent there. Rodler's got this question, Tim. Zorko or Fisher can get rid of lesser rookies if going Fisher's value, but he could end up being a spud in my team for a second time. I would say Fisher. I don't think he will be a spud because with McKerch, obviously, we don't know what's happening. And the fact that Fisher's gone 4 tons in a row since we all traded him out in this role. And Sheasel's gone more into the midfield. So, yeah, you're going at the value there of Fisher?
Oh, yeah, I think that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah. Liam Rosenberg has got this one, Jordox. Can I get rid of Dawson if it means Zorko and Dunkley/Goulden in this week?
Of course, you can trade out a rookie Dawson. Yeah, Will Dawson from North. You can trade him out, sure.
That's a great question, and it's really hard because you want to know what's going on with his foot. Look, I probably wouldn't. I probably wouldn't do it. It's tempting, but I think even if Dawson's foot is a problem, the buy is just around the corner, so he'll get a refresh. And also,
how do we think Crouch going out is going to impact him as well?
I was going to say, I think we Crouch out. I think that means a Dawson bump in CBAs. I think that I think almost a bit has been made too much of this Dawson footage. If it was that bad, he wouldn't have played on the weekend. He had a late fitness test. It was the MCG. They knew they're on a 5-day break. They wouldn't have played him. They played him. I think the Crows were just that bad, and he got burnt a fair few times in that game as well, which is very unlike the Crows because normally they go to Dawson whenever they can. He's one of the best kicks. Well, he is probably the best kick in the team, so they try and find him. So I just think Richmond, Thursday night, Crows, bad performance. We saw last time he had a really bad score like this against Carlton, where he got a 60. He played the Bombers at home at Adelaide Oval in a primetime game, and he scored a 155. So I'm not saying he's going to go 150 this week, but against Richmond, he could as well. So I wouldn't be trading Dawson. If you're in a situation like me, I know a few people have got the Dawson Bont Steele combo trio. You might look to trade one of the three at the buy if you're in a luxury position, and maybe you do go, Dawson, this footage is an issue. Maybe look at doing that. But yeah, I just don't know if you could with the Richmond matchup.
The potential for it to burn you straight away is probably just too high. And like Bale said, you got the bye coming up, so we'll find out how he's looking Thursday night.
Yeah. Eskimo Brother 77. Tim, trade Bonner, Sharp, or Jack McRae. Who are you trading first? So you trading the Sharp who's on bye this week, or are you getting rid of a Bonner or McRae on the round 15 bye?
I think Bonner's would be the number one target to trade out. So I think, look, the natural thinking would be Jeremy Sharp, but that's because we're kind of thinking about him being on his bye. But, the reason why we think about trading out these players on their bye is because, you need players playing, but considering there's only 2 teams on the bye this week, you've got stacks of players and you'll probably need Sharp, and he's scoring pretty well for the remaining bye round. So for that reason, and where I guess we've seen Bonner's role kind of move more up into that wing as Sinclair has kind of moved back into that defensive line, and also there's probably prospects of like Brad Crouch coming back as well, so that could further sort of cement that role change. I mean, we might even see Bonner out of the side, so I think you just got to be a little bit worried about his break even, and if I was going to rank who you're trading out, I'd go Bonner first.
Yeah,
I think Jack McRae would probably be. I'm not really sure. I mean, obviously he got that kind of ceiling score on the weekend. I mean, I don't know. I'm not. I stayed right away from Jack McRae, and that's exactly where I want to stay. So, I don't know. I'm not sure what you guys think about maybe where he fits, but that's what I see about those first 2 anyway.
Yeah, Bonner's the first one to go for me. Bloody Jack McRae. Like, since when does he kick? I'm still annoyed at that from even Friday. When does he kick 2 goals, especially in a quarter of football, and 2 of the first 3 goals of the Dogs? And he gets a 97. And take those 2 goals away, it's an 80 or a 70. So
I'm not just razzing you up, Bales, but that was probably the best game I've seen him play in that role. So yeah, I can't see him going back to the midfield at least. So that's a positive for you.
Yeah, unbelievable. Thanks, Jack McRae. I like this question from Sean Jordox. Getting in Goulden this week, would you trade Sharp this week if it gets you both Luke Ryan and Dane Zorko next week? Would you be happy to part with Jeremy Sharp if he gets those 2 next week?
Hold on. So if he moves Sharp this week, he can get Zorko and Luke Ryan next week. Yeah. It's a big old yep-a-roo.
Exactly.
Imagine bringing in Zorko and Ryan in 1 week. That's incredible.
Yeah, he's probably going 2. He's probably got Fisher. He's probably going 2 down, getting Goulden this
walking
week.
Around like this
Sharp and exactly. Yeah, no, that'd be good. Or you could be like me and you've already got Luke Ryan. So there you go. Bit of a humble brag there. I'm very happy with that trade now. What do we got next? So Josh has got this one. We obviously mentioned a bit before, but Tim, your LDU over Lockie Neal. He's on mute.
Yeah, mate.
Okay, cool. What have we?
Can I throw one in there?
Yeah, yep.
So I just had a quick look at this guy's price, and it's the same price as LDU and Neil. Rory Laird is probably the one that gets the biggest benefit from Crouch out, just because of how similar they are. He's $830. I didn't realise he was that cheap, Lairdy boy.
round 15 bye doesn't
Mm.
it probably doesn't work for a lot of teams. That's the only
Yeah.
thing. The one thing I guess I'd say just keep an eye on is if Berry does go into that crouch role, keep an eye on Laird at halfback. He had a good game at halfback when he went there. I think he had 11 touches in the last quarter, going at like 91% disposal efficiency or something. I saw a tweet on the weekend. So look good. I think with the Crows experimenting a few things, I've still haven't known why the Crows didn't put Laird back to halfback sooner. It wasn't like he was that good. He was just an All-Australian multiple times back there. So yeah, hopefully he stays in that role.
When you've got Brodie Smith in career best form, why would you move it?
Yeah, no, this is turning into a Crows podcast. So we'll move on to another question. That's right. No, it's but both of us, mate. So we'll go. Jim910 has got this question, Jordox. So he said, thoughts on Reed, Bonner, and Closey to Zach Fisher, Isaac Heaney, and a rookie.
Pretty delicious. Who are the three outs again?
Reed, Bonner, and Closey.
Yeah, they're all can go, guys. And then in is Heaney,
Fisher, and rookie.
Fisher, and a rookie.
Yeah.
Let's make sure the rookie's a good one. And then
I was going to say if Closey's on the bench and you're just going him down, then love it. But if Closey and Reed were both on your field and you sort of, so for example, in a situation with a few trades I'm doing, Fraser would technically be my F6. Just make sure you fix that up at round 15 or whenever, or have a plan, make that a priority to fix. But no, I like the trades as well. What do we got here? Next one. Exception says, thoughts on Nick Martin, Jordox. What are your thoughts on Nick Martin on the weekend? Sort of his role's been shifted a couple of weeks, but I guess it might be if round 14 comes, we're obviously not trading him, but would he be a guy you maybe look at targeting post his buy? Or are you thinking you want to see a few weeks with Ridley back and see where Nick Martin sits before you did jump on him?
Mason Redmond's hurt his hammy. I'm going to guess hammy. He's hurt, so he's out at least for one, maybe a couple.
Good for Nick Martin.
Yeah. Look, I didn't watch that game on the weekend. I wasn't aware his role had sort of swiveled much. But in terms of concerns and wanting to jump off and whatnot, I just think he's an absolute jet. I mean, his scoring, he hasn't dropped under 85. He's only missed a ton 4 times. And I'm just looking at his time on ground. He is a freak. He's averaging mid 90% time on ground. That's phenomenal. Yeah. What a work rate he must have. So the question was it, am I concerned about him or just what do I think about him in general?
What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah. Well, he's only 9.27. He's a trade-in target for sure if you don't have him. And if you do have him,
passes by, yeah.
Yeah. And if you don't have him, if you do have him, don't think twice about it. Fine.
Yeah. No, I agree. Matt Mann, 13. Tim, Sheasel or Goulden? Who are you going out of those two?
What price? Look, I'm not sure what price they are. They're probably priced.
They're within 10. They're within 10K. Goulden's 932. Sheasel's 940.
It's probably dependent on what do you need, right? A midfielder or a defender. But if I had to just pick straight between the two, I'd probably pick Goulden over Sheasel. I'm just concerned. I think Sheasel's probably still on the edge of being top 6 defender, but I'm concerned he might be a little bit overpriced at the moment. So, whereas, Goulden potentially could be value if we see him, potentially put a run together between now and the end of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, I like
they got a pretty good run as well. Sydney, once again, have got a pretty good run for the next few as well.
Yeah. North have actually got a decent run as well. I think West Coast, Collingwood, Melbourne or something like that. So they've got a few good matches coming up. So I have to see. But yeah, I think Goulden would be my pick. I like both. Bol, Jordox, should I risk it and get Tim Taranto? So I'll say no, straight up, because round 15 bye, he's coming back from injury. He might get managed, so I would say no. But what are your thoughts on Tim Taranto as an option in the second half of the year is probably where I would sort of extend the question.
Yeah, I think he's a great watch for the back end of the year. Yeah, post buys. So what's he at? 896K.
Break even?
What is his break even?
I was actually asking if you had it there, but
sorry.
Look, that's right. So his break even is 102.
Yeah, so much of a muchness. Yeah. Oh, look, I wouldn't jump on straight away, even though it can be the smart move. Because if he comes out and scores 120, 130, then we're all doing it. But that buy is there. So, yeah, I'd recommend waiting till after the buys.
Yeah.
Give him a few weeks. Have a good look at him. See what he looks like. But I think he's going to be good. He'll be raring to go. He'll be itching because he's been sitting on the sidelines watching, some pretty bad smashings. He's going to be so keen to get in there, tell everyone, hey, I know you all think Richmond shouldn't have traded, but here I am. So,
this one here coming from Anthony Beresford, Tim. Obviously, you said you'd go LDU over Neil. Would you go Chad Warner? Obviously, we mentioned Chad Warner. Are you still LDU over Chad Warner?
Yeah, I think so. Like I think Jordox was saying before, I think he's probably a better super coach player. I think he's a great player. I'm just not sure that what he does translate that well to a fantasy score.
Yeah. And then Jack just said this. Jack M just said this comment in the chat as well, saying LDU's form has coincided with Sheaves moving into the mids. Bale's absolutely spot on. So that's part of the reason why I read that question out, that comment out as well. But it is actually true though. Since LDU has gone into the midfield, that's when LDU's form has taken the uptick. So yeah, that's definitely one to watch. Josh Hopkins, Jordox, thoughts on Sicily or Will Day as potential options? Again, by next week, I still wouldn't be looking at. Brian ran 15. So I still don't know if you're targeting either of these guys, but are these guys on your watch list post buy? I've been a big advocate saying that Sicily's only an option once and Ethan Phillips or someone comes in as another key defender.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just having a quick squiz at the pricing. It's pretty similar. I'm just a big no on Sicily, just in general. I just you can't trust him. You can't trust his role. You can't trust his temperament. The Hawks are looking good though, but no, I'd be having to go at Will Day out of the two, because you're sort of going to know more what you're going to get. I don't actually like either as a pick, if I'm honest, but in that 750 price range, yeah, you've got to consider them. But Day over Sicily.
Yeah. Tim, thoughts on Ryan Angwin as a downgrade option this week? So he's got a 93 against Geelong at GMHBA. He's priced at 387, so a bit more expensive, but he did play on a wing because Callahan moved into the midfield with Cornelio and Josh Kelly not playing. So I think Angwin's probably got a role for a few weeks. Would you pay 387K for him as a mid only, or are you still throwing him at Mullen if he gets named?
Yeah, first I've even thought about him, so I'd have to look into the numbers and stuff like that first. I don't know, guys. What do you think? Have you guys considered him at all?
He's just Kelly's at this time of year.
Yeah, Kelly's not far off. Say again?
I said 50K more, you get Sam Berry.
Oh, yeah, do that.
So, I think just too expensive for mine, especially if Dowling is named. If he's not sub, you're saving yourself 180 odd K there. So, I'd be going there. If McMullen, if he's not the sub as well, I think I'd be saving. So he's probably going to be on your bench anyway. Timo's got this question here, so we'll go to Tim for this question as well. Just sort of seems fitting. Goulden or Josh Dunkley? It's a good one. I like that one. Who are you going out of those two guys?
If you take the cash out of it, it's Dunkley, right? But the cash might make a difference. But if it doesn't, I'd be going Dunks, just because I think the role is a little bit more secure than what it is with Goulden.
Yeah, it's what's that? 41K. So no, not 41K. 46K. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, close to 50. Yeah, so not huge.
Yeah, but again, as I know the traders do like saying it, if you can't split them, go the cheaper one. So could be
good matchup. Good matchup for Goulden this week as well against Geelong.
If someone asked me next week, I'd be saying Dunkley every day because the Lions have got the Saints at the Gabba, and that could be a big score. So if it was next week, it'd be definitely Dunkley. But I think Goulden's got just as good a matchup this week against Geelong. I think I'll be going Goulden for the cheaper price. Joe Holden's got this one. Zorko or Goulden this week? And Chris has also asked the same question.
Zorko or Goulden?
And then Jack Summers has also said Dunkley, Gordon, or Zorko. So you can sort of all three.
Yeah, okay. Well, look, I reckon if you're spending the cash and Zorko's in the combo, I reckon Zorko over all of them. And then splitting Dunkley and Goulden would be similar to the last question, and I'd agree Dunkley over Goulden.
Yeah. Tim, are you in that same order as well?
Sorry, mate, what was the order?
Jordan said Zorko, Dunkley, Goulden.
What, as trade ends?
Yeah, how would you rank them?
I'd probably rank Goulden just because the.
You're splitting hairs, obviously, at this point.
Yeah, we were just talking about the split between Dunkley and Goulden, right? But I still think at this early stage of the buys, you want to be hunting value so that you can try and get in one of those buy rounds a double upgrade done. So because of that, I tend to kind of delay bringing in Zorko. And once again, who knows? If you delay bringing him in, he could bloody do a hammy next week, right? And then, you've missed what everyone else jumped into. So, I would be prioritising probably the cheaper guys.
Yeah, no, not a bad shout there. Jad El Cardi has got this one, hold or sell, but I'm going to change that, mate, courtesy of Nathan from Hat Chat, and this is full credit goes to the Hat Chat podcast. We don't want to be
Nathan's birthday. Was it Nathan's birthday today, or was it yesterday?
I don't know. I might have missed that.
I think it might have been. Maybe not. Maybe I might be getting my things confused. But I think it was his birthday. Anyway,
well, if it is, we'll give Nathan a present, and I'll go to this question to Tim: trade or spade, Oliver? So I'm probably more next week. Are you trading Oliver out next week, or so?
Well, he doesn't look like he's going to be a top 8, so he's got to be a trade at some point. But probably on his buy.
Yeah, I'd agree. You agree, Jordox, there as well?
Yeah. I've got him, and that's probably the plan. He's got the King's birthday to change my mind. I think it's going to be a fiery game too. Lots on the line for both clubs.
Yeah. Tony Forward saying John Dawson set to play was announced on 7 News Adelaide. Yep, I saw that before as well. So no, I wasn't too concerned about Dawson not playing just because he played out the game on the weekend. So if we was going to rest, it would have been last week. Daniel Verschure, I apologise if I've got that wrong, mate. But Daniel's got this question here. Jordox, he said, would you prefer to keep Closey or Wilson this week? So obviously Closey's got... Oh, you go Wilson over Closey?
Keeping.
Not the matchup, the Saints matchup? Yeah, keeping this week. Yeah.
Who are they playing?
Obviously, they're playing each other. Gold Coast playing St Kilda.
Gold Coast St Kilda.
But obviously, Saints are good match. Apparently, they're bright green, like dark green for wingers as well. Obviously,
right? Yeah. Look, I'm not. You know me. I don't look at that as intently as others do.
Is this one split? Is this one split for the buys? Closey's ran 14, Wilson's ran 15. Do you sort of go, well, are you heavy in one or the other? Is that where you?
I just think Darcy Wilson is someone you can sort of field post buys, and I think Closey's his scoring's run out. So Wilson had the one bad one on the weekend, but before that, his scoring has been excellent. So yeah. On face value, I'd be, if it was my side, I'd be keeping Wilson and trading Closey.
Yeah. Matt's got this question, Tim. So obviously we're just talking about Closey then. Would you trade Closey or Dempsey this week? So Closey's got the Saints, but the high break even, and Dempsey's got Sydney, but coming off his ton on the weekend, and he's got a lower break even.
As I've got the same buy round?
Yes.
Well, hang on, but points, or what do you mean points or cash gen? Didn't Dempsey score more than Closey on the week?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is probably Dempsey. What I'm saying is probably Dempsey's probably going to score lower because he's got the tougher matchup, but he's got the lower break even. That's probably sort of what I'm saying. You probably one of the guys that's got lower break even and keeping him, or are you maybe picking Closey's got high break even?
Jesus, man! Like the questions like this, it's toss a coin because you just never know what they're going to score on the weekend.
Roulette.
Yeah, exactly. It's rookie roulette. So they're both four. Is it both got a 14 round 14 bye? Yeah. I mean, look, I think the thing that's tough is, well, I guess Closey you could be replacing in your midfield. I've actually got him in my defensive line. So you're probably not impacted by who you're bringing in.
If it helps, I'm pretty solid on keeping Dempsey in that scenario as well.
He's just been so solid against Sydney. It's going to be tough at Sydney.
You think about it, right? If his break even's low because he's just scored the ton, I think 2 weeks before that was an 80. So he's, these cash cows. It's for me. It's about who's still making money, and the scores on field are great. But if you field Dempsey this week and he scores 40, like big whoop. Like you've probably got 22. Four scores will drop out anyway.
He's got the ability to hit that.
Yeah, and I just think at this point with these fattened cows, it's been such a great year for cash cows. We've been able to turn some of them into absolute 600K. I mean, look at Sharp; he's 700K in the extreme. So just keep riding the money that you're making, I reckon, and that's why I think Closey's cooked. He might come out and have a good score against the Saints this week, but in terms of the cash gen, I'm bigger on making cash at the moment than guys.
I've looked at it in a bit more detail now.
Yep.
So look, Closey's got a break even of 79, right? So average is 74. Dempsey's got a break even of 41. Look, I mean, both of them could either hit their break even or pop a kind of ceiling score. I tend to think if it's only 1 week, I think Closey's actually got the better chance of popping a ceiling score. So even though I was probably leaning maybe a little bit more towards holding Dempsey, I'm actually now leaning towards trading out Dempsey. I don't think there's going to be that much difference in terms of cash.
I'm just trying to work out if we've helped the person or not,
or confused the shit out of them.
But you're right. Like you are splitting hairs at this point, so we're trying to find anything. Hopefully,
if it was me, I'd bet on Closey.
Yeah, hopefully just the conversation, the discussion leads you to your answer. So.
Yeah, that's what we're going for here. Our advice is shit, but maybe the discussion helps.
Well, it's conflicting. That's the issue.
Brendan Y is trying to poke you, Jordox. He's saying, did Jordox get Christian Salem last week?
I saw that. I don't think he's poking. I think he's just genuinely curious. So I actually put a poll up on X and got about roughly 100 votes. And it was 50-50 between Salem and Tom Stewart. And it was funny because I actually did a fair bit of trade editing on the Saturday. Yeah, the Saturday night when the Richmond boy was a sub. Smith, I think it is. Because I was bringing him in, then he was a sub. So I had to pull out. But it was really tricky because I was trying to work out what to do. Long story short, I found that all I could get to was Salem. But I was so convinced on Stewart in my mind, I couldn't handle watching Geelong Richmond if I'd gone Salem and then watched Stewart go nuts. So I actually changed who I traded out Lohman, who I wanted to keep, to get Stewart. So no, I didn't get Salem. It cost me 12 points. I'm not too stressed. Stewart was fine. He just copped something in the third and then only scored 6 points from low time on ground the fourth. Watching him possibly get tagged by Jordan this week won't be fun, but hey, that's the game we play.
Yeah, exactly. Fantasy can be a full game at times. We've got a couple more here, then we will wrap up. There you go, Timo saying love the trade or spade. Yep, shout out to Nathan for that one. Spider Pig Josh, bring in Sexton or Whitfield this week, Tim. I'm assuming you're going to go. Well, you said you're not a big fan of Whitfield, but are you going Whitfield? Oh no, he's just left us, so he didn't like the question. Oh no, he's back. Hang on, he's back.
Oh, I'm back. I dropped out.
Yeah. Spider Pig Josh was saying,
I heard it.
This week he's got the bye next week or Whitfield.
Well, you don't bring in Sexton with the bye this week, right? But you don't bring in Whitfield either with his runs. You look for someone else. So, or you leave, that, don't forget, you can probably leave a spot, an unplaying spot this week as well, right? So you don't necessarily have to have all,
and I think
you don't need 22 players on field.
I think with these questions too, we have to assume if someone says, should I get Sexton? We just have to assume that they've done that check and that their side will be fine next week or whenever the bye is. Because otherwise it's just at the point of any player that isn't
you just say no.
Bye.
Yeah, exactly.
No, because of the bye. So you have to assume. Like I'm targeting guys that will have a bye, but my buys are set up that I can do that.
So Sexton 673. Got the Saints this week, break even a 40, and then Will Powell's back after the bye. Would we just rather pay, I guess, would you want to get him for the sugar hit if your buys are fine, or would you want to wait till after his bye when Will Powell's back, maybe get a watch on it, and if he's going to be a top 6 forward, you bring him in then?
Nah, get on now. I'd be getting on now.
Yeah. I don't know. I think
for 1 week, I don't know if I could do that.
I feel like I'd wait. I just want to. If you haven't got him now, I feel like I'd want to wait to see what he was like with Will Power. Sorry, not Tom Power. And then you can see what he does with them. But I don't mind it. A few people might want to go in different directions, and he's got a good matchup this week in the Saints. So, play on footy. Will Sanders be the sub? Well, we're not sure yet because we'll have to wait for the Bulldogs game. But he was pretty good last week, so I'm not sure that he will. But we'll have to find out. And we'll go one more question.
I don't think he will be, just quickly. I don't think he'll be the sub again.
Yeah. Jack M, trade Stewart or Wilson first. Well, George, we'll go to you for that one because obviously being the Stewart owner, would you be trading Stewart or Wilson?
The Wilson. Oh, Darcy Wilson. 7. Oh, look, I think if you. I think if you've been an owner of Stewart from the start, it's probably time to move him on. I mean, Wilson's probably still got a bit of cash to make. Do you keep your primo over your kid? Trade the kid. Keep Stewart. You can ride it with me.
Tim, where would you go with that one?
Sorry, mate, what was the question?
Tom Stewart or Darcy Wilson? Who are you bringing
trading out? Oh, bringing in. I'm not bringing in Tom Stewart.
No, trading out.
Yeah,
trading out. Look, you got to get off Tom Stewart. Jesus. When are their buys?
I feel like if you went Darcy Wilson to probably the same sort of. Well, I don't know. If you went Darcy Wilson up and you could get Zorko, you'd probably do that. But if you get Stewart to Shees when you can't get Wilson up to someone, then I'd, or not, maybe if not Shees or something like that, I'd probably go that way. But
my God, it's priced at $657,000.
Yeah, no, it's tempting for non-owners, right? I don't know. I reckon, maybe because I bought him in and I feel like a goose, but I don't know. He looked pretty good. He was on 70 at 3/4 time. It looked like he was starting to get back to it. Whereas Wilson, Wilson's maxed out just about in cash. Stewart is down the bottom. Maybe give him a chance to climb again. Certainly on paper, you'd like to see Stewart there.
Yeah, no, I could go with that. Yeah.
And final question from Space. Tim, I'll go to you for this one. Is it a play to trade out Gawn or English to a Cherry, Grundy or Briggs? I'll just cross out Briggs. I'll just say Cherry or Grundy. We can talk about Briggs, but I think it's one of the other two. To help get through the buys to get Zorko and then get that other ruckman after. So obviously you're looking at getting 22, the extra ruckman, or you're
getting cute.
One less
Don't
player.
do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
I don't think we're in. That's luxury trades. We're not. I highly doubt your team is in a position where you're in a. It's time for luxury trades. So I would be holding off until the time is right for that.
Yeah, I would agree with that because you don't want to trade out English or Gawn. They go 150. You bring in a Cherry or a Grundy. Something happens to one of those two, and then you got a forced trade anyway. So yeah, I would be agreeing with that. I'd be keeping the other two. Perfect. All right, boys. That's where we'll finish up with the questions tonight. If anyone else has got any other questions, you can hit me up on Q platforms at askmeonq.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics. There is a small fee, but it does help at the channel, but also helps give you an in-depth answer There's categories there. You can pick what category you want on the website there, and I can help you sort of with all your in-depth questions, team-dependent questions. You can put your teams in there. I can actually look at your teams, or if you type them out, I can look at them there. And you get an audio response straight into your email, and you only get to hear the advice from that. So make sure you guys hit that up. That's also in the description below for the podcast and the YouTube videos. But boys, Jordox, good to have you on, and good to have the three of us obviously on the one for the first time. But mate, where can the people find you across the socials, and what are your current trade plans as of Tuesday night?
Yep, so I'm on X at Jordox 2020. Come say hello. And had a quick squiz before the pod because I knew you'd ask me that. And at this stage, I found 2 trades I really like, and then there's a third I'm not sure what to do. So basically, I can go Harley Reid and Will Graham down to Dowling, very keen on Billy Boy. And then I was going to do Will Graham to Crisp because I'm really big on Crisp. But then I realised I've got 7 defenders. So I actually only have, when everyone's in their right positions, I only have 5 primo mids, and that includes Oliver and even Steele, Butters, Green, and Dunkley. Yeah, I don't have any slam dunks in the guts. So I think that needs to be my priority. LDU at 8.30 is tempting. Or with the third trade, I just do a quick little cash grab from one of my red dots, and then maybe it's Goulden I bring in. That's probably a smart one.
Yeah, like it. Tim, you can find him at Tim Guest AU. What are your trades looking like this week?
No idea, mate. No idea. So I've got to do something with Crouchy. That'll probably be pretty sideways. And then I'm probably going down, whether that's a Harley Reid, a Riley Bonner, could be a Jordan Sweet, and then just where that other trade is then going. So, yeah, look, chances are it's probably going to be 2 premium-looking type players, but it might be, valued like an LDU and a Grundy, or I don't know. We'll see what's happening, but something like that.
Oh, we did.
I think it's
touch on it. Sorry, just Harley Reid, the news from the Tribunal.
I probably should have said as well. Yeah,
it stayed at 2 weeks, so that's a definite trade. If it was 1 week, you might have thought about it, but 2 means we'll all be jumping off.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's me.
Yep, and then my trades, I'm looking at probably two main options. I think Bonner to Fisher's locked. That's locked as anything. That's the one trade I'm definitely doing. It just comes down to if I'm going Harley Reid down to a rookie on the bench and playing a Fraser at F6, like talking best 22 team, and go get Zorko from Ollie Dempsey. Or I bring in Tom Green from Harley Reid, and I just do a Hugo Garcia down to a rookie and have an extra number this week. It just depends if I want Zorko this week or if I want to get him next week. I'm thinking leaning more towards the green one just with the extra number, but Zorko could put a big score this week, so I'm tempted by that. So I'll have a bit of a play around with that and see what I end up doing. And you can find me at BalesDT on Twitter. But thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you're tuning on YouTube, please make sure you do leave a like on the video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're nearly at 2,400 subscribers, and the goal is 3,000 subscribers. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe there. And also, if you're listening onto the podcast and you're listening back and you enjoyed it, we hope you did. Please leave us a 5-star rating and review. And if any reviews get left over the next few days, I might read a couple out on would be Monday round review show, obviously with the public holiday game. So we'll see you guys then. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And we'll catch you guys on Friday for our pre-lockout chat at the usual time. So thanks, guys. Have a good night. See ya.
Good luck. Bye.
See ya.